Okay, so last time I left off on the RAMINATOR, I was working on the TMR modified engine, and I had noticed that one of the E-clips had come off and I was having issues with the clutch itself, so I'm actually going to replace the clutch right now. Not a big deal. First I want to loosen off this bolt, and then I'm going to use two screws, about this length right here, and thread them in and to pull this clutch right off of the motor shaft. Which makes me wonder how many people are telling me right now, it's not a motor shaft, it's an engine shaft. Which is true. What I'm doing here is just holding the clutch in place so I could take that out. I wasn't using too much pressure though, just enough. There, I know Alan uses just a bit of blue Loctite on there. So on the inside, underneath, you're gonna have to note that there's two screws on either side here. Underneath, you can see the casting, like you can see that line right there when I don't have my shadow in the way. Well, if I actually move that hole over that casting point, is it that one there? Let me see, because I have to line it up on both. Right there is the proper point. So I've got a bit of the casting here, and in the back, this is where I'm going to start threading those screws in. Of course, equal on either side. I'm just going to hand thread them until I can actually feel them touch down against that casting. Okay, both screws are set against the mold. And we'll just start to slowly thread it in. Look at that. Clutch is out. Yeah, everything looks really decent here. No cause for concern. You can see the two marks on the casting from the screws right there and right there. I'll just blow that out with the compressor and get that clean anyway. Then my second clutch, I'm going to just drop it on and then tighten it up. Not too tight, I don't want to over torque it. Nice. Just want to make sure it doesn't slip when it's in there. Okay. And then since I'm going to be replacing the pipe, I'm going to take this opportunity to take the old manifold off here. Just giving it a visual inspection. I don't see any scoring or anything, that's good. Sometimes you just got to be a little rough with it. Who's basically asking for it. Get this lined up. Number one. And the air filter. Now I'm going to take this throttle cable, make sure it's seated properly. If you guys can see here, it has to basically loop like this to this very short distance to go underneath and pop up through that. I'm surprised there's not a more direct way, but it's just how the engine is positioned. I'll open the throttle so I can get that cable into position, and like that. Too long maybe. Okay, and in the last video I showed you that Alan from TMR actually sent me this prototype pipe. Now this isn't even the newest product they have. This was just one of their ones that they knew improved the speed. Now this expansion chamber is huge. And yes, a lot of you may laugh at the welds, but I'll tell you what, it's a damn lot better than I would have done in a heartbeat. Now I know, I'm happy to have something like this in here, but I have to figure out how to get this monstrosity hooked up in there. Now thankfully Alan did send me a photo, but the first thing I'm going to have to do, of course, is to remove the driver out of the body. This whole bottom shield needs to be removed just so we have room for the pipe. Got the screws undone, and he just pops right out, 4 screws. Beautiful. So now I get to figure out how to get this puzzle into the receptacle right there. So it's going to have to wiggle and shake its way in there. Aha! I knew it wouldn't take too long, so I just moved this cross brace, moved it up out of the way. I was able to thread it down up to where they will be coupling together. It comes up and around, and the inside tab actually fits onto a hole that's stock right there, and the exhaust comes down like that. Hence why I need to take out the driver. That makes more sense. So I'll put a gasket in there, put some Loctite through there, and start zipping this all together. And about 25 minutes later of fiddling and putting a whole bunch of screws back into place. Also these 2 braces, one here, one on the front. Everything's cinched up on either side. All the panels of the frame are all together. Look at that. You guys know the size of a full-size 18-volt drill. That's how big this truck is. I actually like this pipe quite a bit. I know it's not like the most amazing thing, but to think that it's a prototype of something that, you know, hundreds if not thousands of people are going to enjoy all around the world, that has some character to it, man. So I'm glad to have that in there. Next thing I have to do is install the gas tank. Ba-boom. Okay, so radio on, got lots of voltage. And then to prime the engine, what I want to do is pull on this cable 3 to 5 times slow. You can see the fuel go through. Then I'll plug it in. On. Looking good. It's got a kill switch on this giant machine. You can see it's beeping red saying it's not good to go until I touch that I'm ready on the radio, and I've reset it. See if I can get this thing to fire up. Oh. Try that. Throttle on. Switch is on in the front. Choke is on. Right there. Yeah. That sounds aggressive already. Just turning off the choke. That is exactly, well, that's a ton of power. That is exactly why I have a radio on standby. I had a little bit of a runaway there, so I'll have to check my throttle settings. That was exciting. That was exciting. Nice little burnout almost. Woo, she sounds great. Oh man, okay, I need to go change my pants.